Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Congratulations to President Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance. And congratulations to all America voting for our republic, for liberty, for freedom, for the Constitution, for the Declaration of Independence, for our fathers, our mothers, our great-grandparents, our ancestors, our children, and our descendants. I tell you what, and it is November 10th, our United States Marine Corps birthday. A big for everyone out there. I know every generation has a different sound we make. We also did hoorah and lots of other things, but I got to tell you, folks, it feels good. It feels like a battle won, but we're not done. We're not done. So we're going to start going from here, folks. It has hit the fan. Shit has hit the fan. Things can get better and things can get a lot worse. We can feel good about our future and things could be really, really tight as fuck. We could end up with massive inflation as a consequence of what the Federal Reserve does, the government does, what Biden does in his last days in office, and the consequences of the spending of the United States government for the last 50 years. There's consequences for it all, folks, and we could pay it if they want to make us pay the bill. Hand us a check. Say it's due. Well, let's start with this. We're going to get a question in here from Darcy T with a PayPal $50 super chat donation. And when that happens, that means I get out the Glenlivet 15 and I pour. That is a bulletproof shot glass right there, my friends. It may be dented, but it's not destroyed. So to Darcy T, I want to say thank you, Semper Fi, and I appreciate the great support. Folks, God bless America. So much smoother and better than drinking that freaking Kraken. Good golly. All right. Yep. Back to the scotch. We did Kraken because it's coffee infused rum. We did that on election night, but we're back to our Sunday Night Live, and it just happens to fall right on Marine Corps birthday. So Darcy has a fantastic question/comment. It's been up here. I've been thinking about the topic, but she laid it out really well. She says, does anyone else have the feeling that the election went way too easy? With all of the incredible buildup to the election, we were expecting a ton of cheating, recounts, missing ballots, protests, and riots, and off-the-charts media propaganda. But for some reason, it all went pretty much like clockwork. Not saying they aren't any contested races, but for the most part, it went fairly well. I don't believe it was because of a great landslide for Trump or because people were watching closely, so cheating was minimized. I think the globalists have something else up their sleeve. We still have to wait for the electors to meet next month and then the actual inauguration in January. Why do I get a feeling that the other shoe is going to drop within the next few months? Now, sometimes Darcy says, hey, no question tonight. Just donation to make sure the lights stay on. Make sure the pantry has Spam, tuna fish, and scotch. And good luck. But tonight, Darcy has some comments, some questions. So I'm going to start at the top and work my way through everything she's talked about, and you will find it fascinating. Now, does anyone else have a feeling that the election went way too easy? In a way, you could say that. There were no massive riots. Kamala conceded very quickly the next day. So it felt easy. Now, there was incredible buildup. I was expecting to have to go out on the street with my AR-15 and defend America, right? That's this huge buildup, all this stress and tension. And then it was like, it's over. Well, like many very difficult situations, when you are properly prepared for it, when you know all the things that could happen, can happen, might happen, when you get to deal with them, you just handily pow, 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 pow. You just knock shit out, right? And then you're like, it wasn't so fucking bad. Right? Except for the couple of bullet holes in you and your head hurts. Anyways, it felt like it was too easy because we were very well prepared. But understand this. There was a ton of cheating. There was a ton of cheating. I've looked at the numbers. Trump, for having now the black vote, the Latino vote, the Asian vote, the North American Indian vote, right? For gaining all of this ground with the youth vote and the disgruntled Democrat vote who are sick of their party taking them down the road to hell, as well as the log cabin gay we're not retarded vote. Somehow Trump still got just what he got in 2020. The screaming of the world, the people of the United States, as well as the people of Europe and Japan, Australia, Canada, all around the world. People were celebrating, having parties. They're like, thank God Trump won. All of that extra enthusiasm, and he got the same amount of votes he did 4 fucking years ago. The cheat was there to steal those from him. Now, for Kamala, she was over 10 million less than Joe Biden and his cheat. And she did that with having a backup 20 million illegals here being told, go ahead and vote. Vote, 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 vote all you want. So if Joe got 181 and they had another 20 million votes, she could have gotten an unprecedented 200 million votes. Or I'm sorry, 100 million votes. Let me get my math right. But she didn't. She didn't get anywhere close. She didn't even get really close to Trump. But they must have been cheating. They must have been adding because Trump is missing votes and she's got more votes. And she still didn't even come close. Folks, the cheating machine was caught in many places and stopped. But it wasn't eliminated. The machine is still in place. The process for cheating is still in place. Election machines are still in place that can be hacked, reprogrammed, and votes swapped. And examples of that right now, the best one is Kari Lake in Arizona. Apparently, everyone voted for Trump. It was a fucking landslide in Arizona for Trump over Kamala. But some reason people said, no. I'm going to vote for a Democrat for Senate. I just want Trump for president. I'm not buying it. Not buying it. So we had a ton of cheating. We have missing ballots, right? We don't have the protests and riots. There's little protests, no riots. Media propaganda was off the charts right up to the time they called the election and said, that's it. Trump wins. The cheating is there. The recount, and you forgot one little thing. Late arriving mail-in ballots. They're still counting ballots in many states, not just Arizona. They're still counting ballots in many states. But Arizona is the worst. They keep finding more truckloads of ballots for the senator, right? For the Democrat senatorial candidate. None for Kari Lake, but lots and lots for her opponent. And they're finding more for Kamala, but it's over. It's done. It is done. Now, so you're saying, but for some reason it all went pretty much like clockwork because the clock we were on, Darcy, was expect the worst all the way around the clock, right? Expect the worst as it goes around the clock. As it goes around the clock, expect the worst. And as the worst didn't hit, as Trump soundly defeated her, we thought, hey, this is pretty easy, man. It was only because you and me and all of us were out here making phone calls, sending text messages, emailing people, screaming on the phones, telling people to get the fuck out and vote. That's why we won so big. They couldn't cheat enough. That is my belief system. based on the numbers, but they're still trying to cheat. They're not done. They're trying to sneak back and screw us out of some senatorial seats. They're trying to fuck us out of some House of Representative seats. They're heavily contested. They're fighting. Now, the more Senate seats they get, even if the Republicans have a majority, guess what? Then just a few rhino Republicans in the Senate, like Cornyn, scumbag John Cornyn, rhino piece of shit, and several others in there, they will pop their ugly heads up, take an arrow for the deep state and the Democrats, and go, well, this is just more important to me, and try and fuck Trump out of his mandate. And it's not Trump's mandate, folks. It's yours and mine. It's our mandate. We the people. We the people. And what is interesting is we the people are still involved. Call your senator and say, vote for Senator Rick Scott out of Florida. Rick Scott, he's the only one up for Senate leadership that's worth a shit. Period. Additionally, folks, we have an opportunity here. They need to vote for Vice President J.D. Vance to be president of the Senate. We need to literally call and email or message your senator. We want J.D. Vance to be president of the Senate so that the Senate majority leader does not set Senate agenda. The vice president does, meaning Trump's agenda becomes J.D. Vance's agenda, and that becomes the Senate agenda. Literally, Trump controls the agenda, not the voting, but the agenda in the Senate. This is politics of SHTF. The battle continues. We didn't win the war, folks. We won the election battle. We won the election battle. We've learned, or at least I have, that January 6th is now perfunctory. It is merely a formality. Everything is basically done automatically. They turn their votes in for the Electoral College, and there's no real approval needed, no bullshit. It's basically ceremonial. It's a perfunctory ceremony. And then we go to the inauguration. Now, no, these comments from Darcy T are just fabulous. They're amazing. Because it helped me reflect on what I saw, what I thought. And yeah, we expected cheating, recounts, missing ballots, protests, riots, right? Media propaganda telling us we're all a bunch of, evil people. And we got that. But we were ready for it. So it seems like, you fucking media, kiss my ass, right? Elon Musk is right. We, me, you, us. We are the media, folks. Social media, the people. We share news with each other and we decide what's real. We don't need them to tell us what is misinformation, what is disinformation, what is fact, what we have to accept, what we must dismiss. Fuck you guys in the media and Washington, D.C. Additionally, fuck the government in England, Europe, Australia, and Canada. The governments of those areas of the world can all just fuck right the fuck off. What I mean there is Trump says, and he's already come out, he's already campaigning to the world saying, it's coming. I'm coming. He says, oh, if you want to try and silence free speech on the internet, guess what? You're not going to get any fucking money from the United States of America. You're not going to get any help and assistance militarily. You either play by our rules or go fuck yourselves. And I can't help but say, look, that's playing hardball. But free speech is essential to a free people and a free civilization. To take free speech out is to bring tyranny in, and that is the fight. It's not about American supremacy or Donald Trump is a Hitler. He's saying leave people the fuck alone, let them say what they want to say, think what they want to think, and they'll come to their own conclusions based on the facts that are presented. Free speech, right? But they don't like it, folks. They fucking hate it. They do. They do. Anyways, we are not done, you and I, and we'll talk about this in a moment. We're going to talk about how you can continue to participate in government. In addition to me telling you, you need to call, right, your senators, both of them. You got two senators, and they have to consider you in your state. You're their constituent. It doesn't matter whether you live in north, south, east, west. Doesn't matter. Now, I believe that Trump did win this in a fucking landslide. And that the only reason it wasn't an overall just 48 state slaughter is because of the cheat. Now, Darcy T has one more little comment here that I think is very important. I think the globalists have something else up their sleeve. I'm not worried about the electors meeting because that is going to be, as I said, ceremonial, right? But when you say, why do I get the feeling that the other shoe is going to drop within the next few months? We got the rest of November, December, and then January 20th. Yeah, we have nearly a full quarter of a year to deal with Biden and Kamala. And a lot of people are positing that Biden is going to be forced out of office, either 25th Amendment or he's going to have an accident so that Kamala can be president, the first woman president ever, at least for a little while. But I don't trust that bitch. I do not trust that bitch. The Democrats are in disarray. They're discombobulated. Both the street lunatics who are committing suicide, mass murder on their own families. The women are cutting their hair off. A lot of them are getting fixed. They're getting sterilized. Good. Cut your hair off. No one's going to want to fuck you anyways because they're afraid they're going to lose abortion from Trump. It just shows you how completely out of touch and ignorant they are from the law. The law is your state tells you if you can or can't have an abortion, not the federal government and certainly not Trump. Why would Trump want to take Democrats' rights from them? Because that would take rights from Republicans as well. Fucking, they're idiots. Idiots. But there you have it, folks. So the other shoe, that is what we've discussed a little, and now we need to prepare ourselves up here for that, Darcy. We need to prepare ourselves for that, right? False flag, black swan, whatever you want to call it. Could it be another biological attack? Trump is already told the World Health Organization, go fuck yourself. Folks, no organization has sovereignty over me or my state. No, sorry. The World Health Organization is not a government. It is not an American institution. And so why should we or anyone even pretend to surrender our sovereignty to a medical board or unelected committee, a bureaucracy run by Tedros the terrorist? Why? It doesn't make any fucking sense. So Trump is getting rid of it. RFK is out there, folks, and he is playing hardball. Kash Patel, hardball. Elon Musk, hardball. Wait, Ron Paul is still there. Mike Pompeo out. Nikki Haley out. You guys don't get to be in the cabinet. Good. Mitch Turtles, the fuckhead McConnell, refused to dismiss the Senate as a consequence. There are no recess appointments for the next president of the United States, meaning President Trump's cabinet cannot be selected until after he's inaugurated. In other words, they're trying to delay. The Rhino Republicans, Mitch McConnell, are trying to delay Trump taking positive action for our nation and immediately reverse a lot of this bullshit. Luckily, fortunately, President Trump has a Republican Senate, and there should be absolutely no fucking problem getting the votes to pass everyone in there. And you know what would be funny? Alex Jones, press secretary. Right? And I do want Judy Shelton in the Federal Reserve. In fact, that whole bit about, well, I'm Jerome Powell and a fucking stinking attorney, head of the Federal Reserve, right? Sure. Okay. He says, you can't fire me. Oh, you're above the law. Who are you fucking accountable to, asshole? Well, you know what? In order to be the head of the Federal Reserve, guess what? You've got to have security clearance. You know who is responsible for approving and disproving the security clearances? The president. Trump can remove his security clearance, and Jerome Powell, by default, cannot go to work. He's locked out of the fucking building, even though it's not an American building. So he's going to find a way to gracefully step aside, or there's going to be some embarrassing hair. You know what the other part was? Ron Paul and others have said, well, Doesn't matter whether or not you think you can be fired or not, because the Federal Reserve can just be abolished. There already is paperwork put forth, proposed. It's a bill. The bill has been drafted to get rid of the Federal Reserve System and go back on a United States Treasury note. We can borrow money from ourselves. We don't have to borrow it from a bank. Oh, folks, there's going to be hell to pay. The last president to try that shit, well, let me rephrase that. The last one to suggest that something like that be done was JFK. Prior to that, the last one to try it was and succeed was President Andrew Jackson. Now, there was some stuff about Lincoln and his greenbacks, and he ended up catching a bullet. But yeah, Andrew Jackson did. He kicked the Bank of England out of our country, which is essentially what the Federal Reserve is. It's the old world banks loaning us money at interest that they create out of thin air. Now, enough of this. It was great, folks. It was great, Darcy T. Great stuff. Took us 20 minutes into the show. Woo! With that set of questions. So let's go next. Let's do it. Chin Music has a $52.43 super chat donation. Let's dig into that one right there. I know he's got his question. He sent it into the prepared mother, Jolene, and of course, on. And I tell you what, I happen to know exactly where Chin is and what he's doing. Thanks, brother. Semper Fi to all. Happy birthday, Marine Corps. Congratulations to the United States of America, the most free republic in the world. Like mother's milk. Chin says it's hilarious and infuriating at the same time watching the shitbag media misunderstand why we vote the way we do. All I can say is this. When our guys win, the left doesn't suffer and may even thrive if they get off their asses. With their guys winning, we all suffer. They just can't see it. Everyone needs to thank in order. Number one, Elon Musk. And I'm going to agree. Elon Musk should be the first one we thank. Because if he didn't buy X, we would have no free speech platform. None. We wouldn't have one. It's all controlled speech. In fact, today, before we go to the next bit on Chin Music, today, President Trump released a message to the world. You will not fine or screw with Twitter, X. You won't do it. Free speech is paramount to liberty in the West. And if they want to interfere with our free speech, then they don't get our money. Additionally, Trump came out and said, if you're a social media platform, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, if you're a public arena, social media company, if you shadow ban, hide, push people aside, you have to tell them you're hiding them and explain why. In other words, they have to be responsible to us. They have to be responsible to us for hurting us as individuals, for hurting free speech. It's not saying they can't kick you off. It's saying they have to explain themselves. And there's going to need to be penalties when they don't and they fail and they treat people prejudicially. Kind of like that bitch in FEMA. The bitch in FEMA who told people in FEMA to ignore and not help people who had Trump political signs in their property. She needs to be in fucking jail. I've had it with these people. She needs to be in jail. Folks, they haven't finished counting votes. Trump has already said, you cheat, you're going to jail. Excuse me, Maricopa County, Secretary of State in Arizona, Pima County. A lot of you people are going to jail. Get ready. You're going to go to jail for your cheating because you're not going to get away with it. A recount and an audit is going to show that nothing but massive cheating was going on. Same with Fulton County, Pennsylvania, and Philly and other places. Oh, folks, it's going to be great. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to happen. All right. So, yeah, we need to thank and order Elon Musk. Thank you for free speech. It turned everything around. What else have we got? Number 2, Charlie Kirk. He went to college campuses across the country and he debated these youthful commies face to face. Yeah. He turned around, I believe, Charlie Kirk as well as others, Benny Johnson being also out there active. I'm sure Ben Shapiro and Tim Pool had an effect on the youths by making them think. And then Joe Rogan also. Joe Rogan, right? This is college campus type stuff. Young people votes. And then we go to number 3, Scott Pressler. He circled Pennsylvania, registered at 150,000 low propensity voters for the Republicans, and he also got 180,000 of the Amish. He petitioned a gay, long-haired Republican, petitioned the Amish, a non-participatory religious sect, and told them, you need to vote. You need to vote. Anyways, yeah, Scott Pressler, awesome. Charlie Kirk, awesome. Elon Musk, awesome. Let's move on. Chin says, see you soon, John. Have a good show. Prepare my family and behave yourselves in my absence. Beatings will continue until morale improves. Semper Fi. Oh, man, I've heard that so many times. Beatings will continue until morale improves. Another, I love that saying because I've lived it. I fucking lived it. Look, a lot of other people came on board that helped as well. There's so many thanks to hand out. RFK. He abandoned his presidential hopes and is focusing on what he's good at and what we can agree on. And that's get poisons out of our food, get poisons out of our water, get poisons out of our vaccines, get drugs out of our lives, get the money out of advertising drugs and pushing it. Good. Just great. Right? Tulsi Gabbard, I'm sure she brought some votes with her. She left the Democrats. Good. Folks, the military got fucked in this election. They were not allowed to participate the way they normally do. The Department of Defense, the Secretary of Defense screwed over us. The very men and women that currently, not old time like me, but current military out there, front line, willing to defend us with their lives, to put their bodies down, weren't allowed to vote. They were tricked. Folks, we're already at 400 people live right now. Hit the thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share the internet address. It's up at the top of the screen. And if you want to talk in the comments, you've got to be a subscriber. So hit the subscribe button. And after 5 minutes, YouTube will let you start putting comments in the comments section. As for you talking, getting your comments on screen, I'll make you famous. Hit that super chat button over there. There's also CashApp, Venmo, PayPal, as well as thepreparedmind.club. But look, it's time to go. We need to discuss how we're going to continue to participate and make this government do what we want. Listen to us, the people. Mr. Uman's got a couple of links we're going to put up on the screen here, and we'll start talking about them. Where do we want to start first, Mr. Uman? We've got Trump and RFK Jr. set up 2 new websites this week. This one lets you weigh in on nominees for the Trump administration appointments. That is nominees.mahanow.org. Nominees.mahanow.org. Maha is Make America Healthy Again. So who do we want in Health and Human Services? Who do we want in the FDA? Who do we want in the White House? You can go there and do that and let them know what you think. Do we want people that are going to screw us over? That are rhinos, sellouts, pieces of trash? Do we want to put those in the White House again? No, we don't. But if you've got someone you like, get them in there. Like I said, I would get a kick, an absolute kick out of Alex Jones as the press secretary. Now, I think a better choice there, in all truth, would be the press man, the member of the press, the White House press corps that harassed the ever-loving shit out of Karine Jean-Pierre constantly. Peter Doocy rode her into the ground all the time. I think Peter Doocy would be a great, legitimate White House press secretary. I think he'd be great. But I certainly would like to see Alex Jones getting a good government paycheck helping out. Because he has a $1.3 billion lawsuit to pay. I think that'd be great. Anyways, yeah, you can weigh in on nominees for the Trump administration. There's that one. Now, how else can you help in the fight to keep liberty and our republic going? There's a second website also. Trump and RFK Jr. set up this one. It lets you choose the top 20 policies that are most important to you. Policies like the border. The press is already coming after Trump saying, we can't afford to send all these people home. He said, we can't afford to have these people killing us, raping us, assaulting us, bringing drugs over, forming these gangs. We can't afford that at all either. We can't afford all the welfare, the housing, the food, everything we're giving to these people. The cheapest thing we can do is send them back to where they came from. Period. So that's one of the things you can say, right? What are the top 20 things that matter to you? The southern border. How about this? Trump came out and said this. Well, you have a driver's license and it's good for all 50 states. If you have a concealed weapons permit, which is a license to carry concealed, it's good in all 50 states, including Hawaii. If you can get your gun there. But yeah, all 50 states. So concealed weapons reciprocity. There's going to be a lot of this type of stuff. So what's the most important, right? Southern border, rebuild the military. How about this? Stopping trans surgeries for minors, making it illegal to do so. I think that's great. Put what you think are your top 20. You can make those suggestions. You don't need all 20. You could just have 5 or 10. Just what do you think this government needs to focus on? Mine is energy. One of those is a big one. Oil, natural gas, nuclear power. Get it rolling now. No fucking around. Right? Just top speed on that. Not warp speed, top speed. Right? The technology's there. The minerals are there. The metals are there. The process is there. You know what they need? They need to just fucking do it. They do. Folks, share the internet address. Thumbs up, if you will. We're going to get into this now. Thank you very much. Get these websites. Uman will, from time to time, put them back up on the screen. Write them down. Check in on them. Check in on them and see what is being said. See what is out there. You're going to find out, folks, that your voice actually matters more than you know. Like I said, call your senator. We want Rick Scott. Don't fuck around. Right? It is go time. Right? When you got someone in the corner, bam, bam, pow. Right? Jab, 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 hook. Jab, 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 straight right. Right? Left hook out of nowhere. Uppercut. Fuck it. Right? We should be beating them. You don't let them breathe and catch their breath and come back and no. Well, all Republicans now, we should all just come together. Meanwhile, they're threatening to fucking assassinate Trump again. Iran, they got caught. Or was it Iraq? It was an Iraqi. They got caught. Fucking idiots all over the internet. These left-wing morons that are shaving their heads, getting tattoos that say, I'm a loser Democrat, right? Getting their tubes tied. Good, fix yourselves. They're not going to have sex anymore. Great. No one wanted you anyway. You fat, ugly pigs. And folks, they're ugly on the inside, and it bleeds through their skin. They're just ugly. Good, good. Stop fucking. We don't need any more people with your brains out there. Good. It's war, folks. We're in the middle of a war. The next battle is getting Trump into office and getting this mess started. Getting this mess started. Anyways, happy birthday, United States Marine Corps. There we go. Big fat oorah. And we got super chats lined up. Jolene, who's next? We've got Inigo Montoya starting off the show early with a $4.99 super chat donation. He says, I do not think democracy means what they think it means. I tell you what, man, I love it. Number one, love the Princess Bride movie, even though that asshole Rob Reiner directed it. He is an asshole, a giant one. But here you go. Anytime you hear the Democrats use the word democracy, substitute the word bureaucracy. Write down the sentence they do, and then just excise democracy and put in the word bureaucracy. and you'll figure out what they mean when they say democracy. They mean the deep state bureaucracy. Everything makes perfect sense when you get rid of the word democracy and put in bureaucracy. Anyways, thank you, Inigo. I really appreciate it, and the humor. And I don't think it means what they think it means. It means bureaucracy. Jolene, who's next? They've hit that super chat button. We're well over 400 people moving up, and it is my friend Dan the Man Erickson with a $5 super chat donation. He says, the election day show was awesome, John. Way better than any mainstream media. We said no to Kamala. Kamala. Camel Horis. We said no. We didn't just say it, man. We meant it. We meant that shit. All of us. And we beat their system. We beat their machine. We beat the cheat. We did all that. We did all of that. God bless America. God bless freedom. The whole world, folks, celebrates with us. Semper Fi. We are faithful to our country. We're faithful to the Corps, to the Army, to the things you believe in your heart. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Thank you. And let's move on. We've got so much to talk about here. I know there's going to be super chats from you guys. It's your show, Sunday Night Live. If you want to comment, you got to be a subscriber and wait 5 minutes. If you're already a subscriber, awesome deal. Thumbs up the video. Share the internet address over here with friends, family, loved ones. It's not done. We need to keep waking people up. They're going to start seeing with their own eyes good things happening. They're going to start seeing and hearing the evil from the Democrats, and more people will come to our side. We need to show them that freedom and liberty is worth fighting for, and that the opposite is not good. As Chin said, yeah, when we win, things get better for them. When they win, things get worse for us and for them. These Democrats are idiots. They're trying to hurt themselves. It's because they hate themselves and they hate this country. And they're fucking miserable. Remember the old axiom, the old phrase, the proverb, if you will. Misery loves company. And so they're already fucking miserable and they can't be happy. We can give them a better standard of living with our policies as free people, but they're miserable people and they'd rather have us be miserable with them. That makes them happy, making others miserable. That's the type of humans they are. Pretty fucking sad, isn't it? All right, Jolene Uman, who is next? And we've got Arizona Unplugged, and that's my good friend Vaughn, way out west, man, with a $5 super chat. And he says, not sure if you covered this already. What happens if Trump gets unalived before January 6th? New election? P.S. Greetings from the mountains of northern Arizona. I tell you what, folks, I've been in those mountains up there. They're incredible. It's different than the mountains in California, different than the Cascades in Washington and Oregon. It's different than the Rockies, certainly different than the Appalachians, but it's still some beautiful stuff there. I've been to the Grand Canyon once. It's really a giant fucking hole in the ground. Anyways, if Trump gets unalived, meaning assassinated before January 6th, you know what? I don't know. It's never happened. Trump has won. But see, it's not just Trump, it's the ticket. When I voted, it said Donald J. Trump, J.D. Vance, vice president. He is the presidential nominee and the vice presidential nominee. So if Trump were to be eliminated, let's just say, it would make sense that the number 2 on the ticket becomes president. I don't think we've had that situation come up before. But interestingly, the people did not vote for Kamala Harris. She didn't run in a primary. She just got installed as the presidential nominee because, well, she's the vice president. And since the president stepped down, then she gets to be the nominee. It was absolutely, this would be another one of those constitutional crises. That's what that would be. They will do anything, folks. The mainstream media, the Democrats, the deep state, the World Economic Forum, Bilderberg types, they'll do anything they can to disrupt the momentum that Trump has created and we have supported because we've called for our republic to be preserved. And by the all that's good, it's happened. Thank you very much, Vaughn and family. Say hey to Karen, say hi to William and the rest of the kids. And enjoy being off the grid up there in the, well, what is it? Was it New Mexico has like 3 feet of snow in it? New Mexico, 3 feet of snow. I watched videos of cows up to their chinny chin plowing through the snow, walking around. Crazy business, folks. The weather, in Europe, where they're getting hit with really odd, unusual, strange weather, the people are not happy with their leaderships and their aristocracy. They really feel like they're getting purposefully hurt. All right, let's continue. If we shall. It is Sunday Night Live. It's the Marine Corps birthday. And Boomer21 checks in with a $20 super chat donation. And he says, the world now gets a break as rescue operations will soon commence. I really like the way that sounds, man. The rescue operation will soon commence. He says, however, we must remain vigilant for dark forces are very well at large. That's correct. Let's just take that. We need to remain vigilant. It's not over. We don't get to just sit back on our hands, go smoke a bowl, right? Drink a fifth and watch Dancing with the Stars. It's not over. In a lot of ways, it's just begun. When I said we got 10 more years of SHDF, it wasn't we got 10 more years if Trump loses. No, if Trump lost. If Trump lost, folks, it would just get exponentially worse. As it is, we now have 10 years of fighting to claw our way out economically, financially, monetarily, militarily, socially, culturally, traditionally, legally, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we got fighting after fighting to defeat these people. And when we are successful, we can defeat them. You know, one of the things we need to make on that list of 20 things, make communism a crime. Make socialism a crime. A criminal act to offer any socialist policies as law because they are anathema. They are repugnant to the Constitution at their core. Because, yeah, they're when you wrote dark forces are very well at large, meaning they're not arrested. A lot of the Democrats are hiding under rocks. They've gone back under bridges. They've gone down into the holes in the ground, down there with the worms and the slugs and the slimy things. They've gone away, but a lot of them are still out top. Washington, D.C., they still come out and see the light of day. They're at large, and they're going to continue. The Democrats will continue to be a problem. I believe Christopher Wray of the FBI is going to be resigning. Mayorkas needs to be held accountable. Christopher Wray needs to be held accountable. James Comey needs to be held accountable. Everyone needs to be held accountable in the Democrat Party. Dr. Fauci needs to be held accountable. Dr. Birx needs to be held accountable. Letitia James needs to be held accountable. These people are all at large. Jack Smith, Ergadon, Chutkin, every attorney, every judge that is fucked with Trump unlawfully, interfering with the election, trying to ruin his reputation, destroy him, and even jail him on bogus bullshit charges, they all need to be held accountable. At the very least, disbarred. A lot of them thrown in jail. That will stop illegal government from ever wanting to try to rear its ugly head, at least for a generation. But making communism illegal again, that's a big one for me. And there's got to be a way to do it, right? And I've been talking about accountability. Anytime the government passes a law that's unconstitutional, they voted to take your rights with their unconstitutional legislation. That should be a crime right there. If you're going to pass a law, it needs to go before a committee that looks at it and says, yeah, that's okay. That kind of falls in line with the Constitution. Or, you know what? You're borderline fucking around with the people's rights and the way this nation operates. The answer is no. If they even get close, you know that word infringed that's used in the Second Amendment? It's quoted quite often. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's right here in this book called the U.S. Constitution. Right? That right there, folks, as soon as they cross that line, you go to jail. That's seditious. That's close to insurrection. Anyways, let us continue. Boomer, thank you a bunch. Folks, I got a lot to say. I'm excited. My heart is just roaring right now. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. Today's Marine Corps birthday. Tomorrow's Veterans Day. I want to wish and thank all veterans from all branches of service, right? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force. Why not? I still haven't met anyone from Space Force. We've got 437 people live right now. Be sure to thumbs up this video, share that internet address. We are going to talk about what happens in the coming weeks and the next couple of months as we wait for President Trump to take his seat upon the throne. No, he's not a king. He's just a president. Fucking Democrats. Oh, he's going to be a dictator and he's Hitler and he's a Nazi and we're going to lose all of our rights. That's fucking morons. They need to go to a country where they've got no liberties and freedom and see how long they last there. Woo! Okay. Oh, my goodness. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Jolene, man, who is up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We got Coach Kyle with a $10 super chat donation. He says, thank you for your service, John. Thank you, Coach Kyle, for checking in. He says, I've had grandfathers in the Revolution, Civil War, World War I, and World War II. I feel like we preserved their sacrifice. What do you think are the biggest threats to our republic? Well, I got to tell you, man, that is amazing, Kyle. I'm glad you've done the work to see where your family has been. I've traced my family all the way back to Bavaria and Schaffhausen, Germany and Switzerland. But then they came to America in the early 1700s, pre-revolution. And they've been here and participated in everything, including coming west and settling this entire nation coast to coast. Now, I'm glad that you've done the same for yourself and you feel like we preserved their sacrifice. I looked at a picture, a PT boat, an amphibious landing craft from World War II, where all those soldiers, they hit the beach that was fortified by the Nazis. And basically the caption said 9 out of 10 of these men died in the first waves hitting that beach. 9 out of 10 men died. That is incredible. But they died. For what? So some fruitcake can pie makeup onto his face and swing his genitals in front of children at school, at a book reading, so they could read homosexual propaganda, so they could accuse us of being terrorists or Nazis or say that we're evil or fascists. No, folks, right? Their sacrifice was for freedom and liberty. Freedom and liberty and the common law, not the king's law, common law for us common folk. We, the people, are the sovereigns in this country. There are no aristocracy. There is no royalty or lords of the land. We're going to have trouble, folks. Our biggest threats to our republic, the biggest threats to our republic is the CIA, the FBI, and also foreign intelligence agencies that would hope to see the president, that is Trump, assassinated. You see, they figure if they take away the charismatic leader, and Trump is the charismatic leader, they take Trump away, then we won't have anyone to lead us. The sooner they do that, the better off they'll be, folks. So they want it right away. If J.D. Vance gets more time in office as vice president, and he realizes, and folks, he is a United States Marine, J.D. Vance, our vice president, the more he stays in position where he can help this country, the more dedicated he'll become to it because he'll see the good of it. He will become, folks, he's already demonstrated through debates, through the campaign trail, through interviews on television, radio, that he is highly intelligent and highly capable of responding to dumb questions, hard questions, good questions, complicated questions. They need to kill our movement, the Make America Great Again movement, the Make America Healthy Again movement, the Make America a Republic Again movement. They need to kill that as fast as they can. That is the biggest threat right now, is assassinating Trump and then stopping J.D. Vance from taking hold. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of the momentum of the MAGA movement, the Make America Great, the momentum of that building and becoming an unstoppable freight train of liberty. They need to stop the return of our country to its greatness. They want it to be small and worthless. They may crash the economy. They can still do that. They can do that through the finance system, through the banking system, the monetary system. They can pull the plug on it, folks. They can. They can blame someone else and say it was a cyber attack. Or they could blame the Republican Party. Oh my God, look what they did. They can always, of course, do something very terroristic. Not to us individuals, but to an entire city, right? A dirty bomb, maybe a nuclear weapon, a biological bomb, a mass poisoning. There's a lot of things they can do that would hurt us. But at this point, that would backfire. Yeah, everyone would be scared if a nuke went off or a water system was poisoned. We'd all be scared. But we would look to our charismatic leader who wants freedom and liberty and for our nation to be protected. That would backfire on them. So really, the biggest threat is taking Trump out before Trump can do what Trump needs to do, said he was going to do, and we want him to do. Let's go, America. Let's keep fighting for our liberties and freedom. Share that internet address at the top of your screen. Share it with friends, family, coworkers, everybody. Hey, Trump's won the election. What comes next? The threats are coming next. The threats are coming next, folks. They want to take us out. Happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps. And congratulations to the United States of America. We have a non-communist presidential nominee and candidate and winner of the election. All right. Uman Jolene, who's up next? And it is Bioxo77 with a $1.99 super chat donation. Folks, if you're new to the show, new to the channel, new to Sunday Night Live, this is the zoo, meaning we've got the preparedmind.club. That's our flagship website, our website, the preparedmind.club. We have subscribestar.com, another way you can participate and join us Monday through Friday. And then, of course, YouTube. YouTube, we're all here and it's the zoo. We're all here and it's the zoo. And if you want to get a question up here, you hit that super chat button right up there in the corner and you are on. You are supporting this channel, the message, the concept, idea of freedom, liberty, and folks being prepared, having food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and of course, your means of self-defense. The Second Amendment, the right to protect the state as much as our right to support or criticize the state with free speech. So Bioxo says, make insane asylums great again. The unhinged in this country, crazy people, mentally disturbed people, people with personality disorders like, right, these extreme lunatics we see on the street talking to themselves, right? They are a big percentage of the homeless out there. I think insane asylums may be a great idea to get these people off the street. If you are insane, you're mentally incompetent, you can't take care of yourself. If the state has to do it, great. You also lose your right to self-determination and to vote because you're fucking insane. I would say a big percentage of Democrats are insane. They're already collecting welfare, most of them that can, or disability. Right? All of these people out here that can go to work, should go to work, but instead choose to sit at home and say they're disabled mentally. Right? Yeah, okay, well, great. Make insane asylums great again. Love it, Bioxo. All right, who is next? Who wants to step on up, has something to say, something to share? Because when you do, you get your question on the screen, and you're not just talking to me. You're not just talking to the people who are here live, right? All 450 of us. when you get your question on the screen, you talk to thousands and then tens of thousands of Americans, because your question goes from your screen, my lips, out to other people's ears, and then they share those ideas amongst themselves. They take the questions and thoughts and comments to other social media networks. And that is how we have woken people up, because the mainstream media didn't do it. Social media was great. That's how we communicated freedom and liberty. And here we are. So Inigo Montoya is back with a $4.99 super chat donation. He says, two people we need to thank the most. Jill for wearing the red dress and Joe for wearing the red Trump hat. They finally did something worthy. Semper Fi to you, Inigo. Yeah, if he wants to thank them a lot, that was actually funny, right? When Joe Biden, let's go Brando, right? That idiot was at a small campaign gathering for Kamala, and a Trump supporter was there, gave Joe Biden a Trump hat, right? A Republican red Trump hat, and Joe put it on his head. It was fucking hilarious. It was probably the most positive thing he did in his campaign life. It was a feel-good moment, but it was a feel-good moment that helped Trump. It almost made Joe look like a human. Interesting. And Jill Biden wore a red dress suit, right? Outfit to go vote. I don't think Joe and Joe's handler, his wife, Dr. Jill, I don't think they're going to let Joe step down. That they might as well just make it another 3 months in the White House and not let Kamala become a president even for a moment. Even for a moment. They did something worthy, finally. I think they're sick fucking people, personally. You know, Jill wearing that panda suit, that was pretty sick for Halloween. It was really kind of sick, considering what the panda stands for in the LGBTQIA system. MAP meaning minor attracted persons or pedophiles is more specific. It's quite interesting, folks. Quite interesting. But yeah, they did something worthy of a little bit of praise. And as I've said before in the past, if you do something good, I'll give you recognition. You do something bad, I'll criticize you. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about the people in charge, the big shots, right? So yeah, those are the two things they did right. We need to thank them for that. It was an interesting message. An interesting message indeed. And Joe also carried that red hat, or one just like it, up the steps onto Air Force One after that. It was very interesting, very strange, but definitely cringeworthy for the Democrats. Probably had them scratching their heads. They can't even figure out what a woman is anyways. They're fucking morons. I can't define a woman. Really? Ever? That's coming to an end also, folks. That ridiculous, crazy bullshit is going to come to an end. There are now politicians going, there's two genders and that's it. There's this woke shit is going to be a battleground, and a lot of the Democrats will die on it. Good. They can die fighting that fight, trying to push this ridiculous shit. It's nothing more than a social fad. That's all it is. All of this LGBT crap, this trans crap, is a social fad that is going to fade. All right, let us continue. Thank you, Inigo Montoya, very much. Jolene, who wants to step up next on the Prepared Mind channel? And it is Jay Miskinnis with a $2 super sticker. I appreciate that. Thank you, John, very much. And I think that is that. Yeah, there's an email right here. He says a couple X posts that I made. That's terrific. I'll have to check those out after the show, man. Too hard to see, too hard to read. Anyways, thank you, Mr. Miskinnis. I appreciate your great support always. Jolene Uman, we've got more to go. Yes, we do. And Michael Rondo checks in with a $5 super sticker. Supports everything we do. Folks, if you have something to say, I've got a bunch of shit here all lined up to talk about, but the Zoo Sunday Night Live is your show. So you hit that super chat button right up there, and we get your questions right down here on the screen, and I'll make you famous, right? Because it will. Ultimately, the ideas we discuss here, and typically the prepared mind is first out of the gate, out of the box, and other people on other channels and other shows adopt the ideas, concepts, and thoughts, and they develop them further. They talk about them as well. But we do our best on Sunday Night Live to get out ahead of the crowd, ahead in the week, and talk about what is coming. What is coming? And let me give you a little taste of that. In Texas, they have an attorney general. His name is Ken Paxton. The deep state operating through the Texas governmental system tried screwing the very conservative, very freedom-minded Texas attorney general, Ken Paxton. They tried screwing him. They tried kicking him out of office. They tried ruining him. Well, he defeated them. He defeated the rhinos in Texas, and now he's fighting back even harder. And now he's demanding Jack Smith. Now, Jack Smith is the jackass who has been suing Trump. All these 34 felonies, all the bullshit right there. So Ken Paxton is demanding his records, Jack Smith's records, because he is saying that it is an illegal weaponization of the Department of Justice against Trump. I think that is absolutely fantastic. I don't know what stake Texas has in it to say, hey, as a member of Texas, as the Attorney General's office of Texas, the weaponization of the Department of Justice against Trump hurt Texas. That's all he's got to prove to the court, and he has standing, right? Standing in a Texas federal court. Now, remember, there's Joe Biden judges, Trump judges, Obama judges, and even Bush judges that are in federal positions for their entire lives. So I don't know which one they would get, but we could have some real shit hitting the fan in court, right? I hope, folks, Attorney General Ken Paxton makes a case, and a good one, and fries Jack Smith legally to a crisp. I don't want him to hurt Jack Smith. I want him to fry him legally, lawfully, in court, fry him to a crisp for weaponizing and being a tool of a weaponized Department of Justice. And if he can do that, get it in court and prove Jack Smith violated law, then we could name others as well. Others like Letitia James and even Merrick the Buttlick Garland himself, the Attorney General whose son or son-in-law sells pornographic material to schools. Oh, yeah. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Family of Merrick Garland sells pornographic material to schools. This homosexual crap, this pedophilia comic books and crap. That's right. And what was it? Oh, yeah. Merrick Garland decided that he was going to say that parents are domestic terrorists. That's right. They classified parents in the United States of America as terrorists because they were going to school boards and telling the school boards, no more porn in our schools, no more homosexual agenda in our schools, no more. And in fact, Trump, again, has come out and said education is going to be something he looks at. In fact, the entire Department of Education at the federal level needs to be eliminated, in my opinion. It is another worthless bureaucracy that is layered. But for the time being, Trump says, hey, you get no federal money if you as a school push this pornographic LGBTQ trans agenda on our children. No more. Protect children. Children are the embodiment of innocence. Let them be who they are. Stop pushing this trans crap on them. Woo, I tell you. So that, folks, that's another thing coming up this week. The weaponization of the Department of Justice. What is going to happen, right? Ken Paxton has thrown down the gauntlet and is going after them. Other states have done that in other cases and other times, like the Attorney General's office in Missouri, I believe. They've been battling the federal government. And until we get Trump's federal government in place to go after all of these criminals that work for Biden, like Alejandro Mayorkas, the head of the Department of Homeland Security, who has left our border open at the behest of Joe Biden. It's a dereliction of duty. It has put Americans at risk. People have been murdered, raped, killed, robbed, had their property stolen from them, destroyed, set on fire. Have you seen these illegals that are here? You know what they're doing? They're breaking down mentally. American culture doesn't fit with their third world and Islamic jihadi bullshit, and they lose their minds. They start assaulting people, flipping people off, bringing out machetes and knives and threatening people, running around absolutely naked, masturbating in public in front of women. They're losing their shit. They need to go back to their countries where they understand the rules and they can live just fine. Good golly, folks, I'm telling you, the world is crazy, but it is your show. And we are not crazy. We are sane. We are right in our head. Super chat button right up there gets you on the screen here. We want to talk about what you have in mind. It's your show. Who's up next? Jolene, we've got bump-a-da-dump-a. Whoa! It is Dan Erickson checking in. And I was feeling a little dry there. We got a lot of new people here. $50 or more super chat donation buys me a 15-year single malt Scotch whiskey. I prefer the Glenlivet and also the Glenfiddich. Whoop, ordered a little tall, Dan. This will be number 3 for the evening. And I want to thank you, sir. And then I'll take care of this shot. And then we'll get to your question, comment, thoughts. Thank you, Semper Fi, brother. Thank you. It's like mother's milk. Woo! He said Trump should pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, Jizzy Maxwell, and put her in witness protection if she starts singing like a canary. These elites are not above the law, and an example needs to be made. Dan, that is an interesting thing. Let me address this from a different angle. We have the Jeffrey Epstein Black Book. We've got all kinds of information about who he was, who Ghislaine Maxwell was, his girlfriend, sick procurer of minors. But what about all the clients? Like Bill Gates, allegedly. Tom Hanks, allegedly. Chief Justice John Roberts, allegedly. Oh, well, if he's named as somebody who went down to Little St. James Island to play with the children, he would probably need to resign. And who would replace him? President Trump. Aha! Yes. And guess who doesn't want to leave the Supreme Court while Biden is president? You know what her name is, right? That's right. Justice Sotomayor, who was appointed by Obama. She needs to leave. She's not doing it. She's going to pull a Ruth Bader Ginsburg and probably stay there until she's dead, and then she'll get replaced. So J.D. Vance, if he's the next president in 2028, there's going to be a heck of a fight between him and Governor DeSantis. And I would not be surprised, folks, if J.D. Vance didn't pick up Governor DeSantis as his vice presidential candidate. We're going to find out. That's in the future, though. Right now, let's get back to you, Dan the Man Erickson. Right? These people need to sing like canaries. So you've got the Jeffrey Epstein logbooks, customer lists, Black Book, and you have the P. Diddy tapes and the P. Diddy list. These are Hollywood, entertainment, and political elites. Allegedly, Kamala Harris is on that. We know Oprah Winfrey's on there, and many, many, many other musical and entertainment artists. And they're a bunch of sick fucks. I believe I am making an accurate statement when the proposed members of the Trump administration are saying the first thing we need to do is clean out Washington, D.C. by releasing all of these names. It'll clean out Washington, D.C. It'll clean out Hollywood. It'll clean out the media. They'll be resigning left and right. Also, corporate and banking elitists will have to leave office, leave their jobs for the sanctity and safety of their companies, their institutions, and it'll scare the ever-loving shit out of every last one of them, knowing that any moment, knockety knock knock on their door, they'll get themselves a beautiful pair of stainless steel bracelets, and they can be politely led to an automobile, politely held in a jail cell in Washington, D.C., hopefully in one of the finer basement cells where the toilet overflows with sewage from time to time, and the cacaroches, and the food is so good and delicious, they can live the life of the serial pedophile scumbag criminal. These elites, Dan, are not above the law, and an example needs to be made not out of one or two, but out of all of them. All of them. And who are their handlers in the FBI and the CIA and the Department of Homeland Security and the NSA and the IRS? Who has their control files? We need an FBI head. James Comey was not a field agent, folks. James Comey was an attorney. Christopher Wray, was he a field agent or was he just another stinking attorney? Perhaps we need someone from law enforcement. How about this? How about Dan Bongino? Or was it Kash Patel? We have the Secret Service needs to be cleaned up. The FBI needs to be cleaned up. They all need to be cleaned up. They need to clear out the career bureaucrats. But I think that this would do it. And look, I think that Jizzy Maxwell should cut a deal. She may not get a pardon. Maybe she'll get a private prison cell on a gated, guarded house in the middle of nowhere with, I don't know, let's do 5 acres with a 20-foot tall fence around it, topped in Constantine wire, with motion sensors and lights on it that face in and out so no one can get her out, and she can't get herself out. But at least she's not in a prison. How about that? Would that be a fair trade? As long as she sings like a canary and testifies in court. I don't just want her to sign an affidavit naming names and talking about what was done. I want her to testify in court and sit on the witness stand in front of a jury and point to the defendant sitting. That's what needs to be. It just needs to happen. And you want to talk about setting a fucking example, Dan? Oh, Nelly. That would be some trouble. Man, I love how the scotch makes my stomach feel all warm and fuzzy and tingly, and then my head gets just lit up like a Christmas tree. Woo! Now, speaking of releasing all the names and affiliations, right? Sean P. Diddy Combs, his attorney, once bailed. Well, $50 million bail? Just come on, man. Let P. Diddy out for $50 million. Well, the judge rejects a gag order on the request to silence all of the alleged victims of P. Diddy. Sorry, denied. The alleged victims who want to come out and say and accuse that, look, when you're a victim, when you've had someone commit a crime against you, you need to be able to publicly accuse them. They don't have to. They can just make the criminal complaint to law enforcement. They'll need to testify in court, of course. But hey, if they want to come out and go on the news and write a fucking book and talk about it, let them. Tell us what these people have been doing, whether it's P. Diddy or J-Lo or Oprah Winfrey or Jizzy or Jeffrey, any of these people, any and all of them need to be exposed. And some of these victims of these filthy, disgusting, perverted, satanic criminals, they need to be exposed. Everyone in that book that Jizzy Maxwell has, every last one of them needs to be exposed. You want to talk about draining the swamp? Well, you know what? Once you drain the swamp, guess what? You can see all the swamp creatures that lived in the swamp. Great. Take away their veil, which is muddy water, cloudy water. Right. Get it the fuck out of the way and name the names and show their pictures. They will resign. They will run. Some will try fleeing the country. Great. Great. Good. Get the fuck out of the country. If you have the means to escape, go to another country and try and hide. They can still be caught. They can still be extradited. They can still be hunted by the United States government and Interpol and other the Five Eyes, right, that they use to screw us over and try and screw Trump over. And actually, they did screw him over. Bunch of fucking lies, right? It's Dan, dude, I got to tell you, I want to see it happen. I will be grinning like the Cheshire Cat. Room will be dark as I sleep in the prepared bunker, but you'll see my teeth just glowing. I want those lists made public. You want to clean up the swamp? Get them out. Get those names out so we know who they are. It's time. It is time. I want it. Man, do I want it. Dan the Man, thank you for the great $50 super chat. Thank you for the drink of scotch. Delicious. Woo! I tell you. Where are we at? An hour and 16 minutes? Holy crap. We're going to go 2 hours minimum as usual on Sunday Night Live. But as long as there's super chat donations, I will not hang up. And we're at 470 people live right now. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't. That tells YouTube this is some good stuff. Share that internet address because people need to wake the fuck up. They need to see what's going on and know that not only did their vote count, but they can still get active. You can go to the websites and they're going to be put in the comments. Uman will have them in the comments. So you can tell the Trump administration, these are my top 20 things or top 10 things, top 5 things I want you to address. Uman says, what administrative position should we all nominate John for on the manow.org website? Maybe health and human services so we can advocate for the health benefits of Scotch over SSRIs. Woo! Uh-oh, the big Scotch lobby will be all over me with that, right? I'll have bottles of Glenfiddich and Levitt and Macallan and Lafrogue and Glen Farkas and the Glen everything. They'll be squirting out my ears. That's some good stuff. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I don't think I would make it through the vetting process. I'm a little too radical when it comes to freedom and liberty. I would, however, accept a position in the alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives bureaucracy as long as it's top floor, because I would get in there and I would print out the Second Amendment. And I would make sure that everyone stands up, recites the Pledge of Allegiance every day, says a prayer, right? And then has to read the First and the Second Amendment out loud and then sign a copy of it every day. I pledge to follow the Second Amendment and adhere to my oath, or John will fire my sorry ass, take my pension, and put my picture up on the website saying I'm a fucking traitor to the United States of America and the sovereign people therein. There you go. There's one I can get in, right? Because without the Second Amendment, the First Amendment can be taken. Without the First Amendment, people won't know what the Second Amendment is. They're symbiotic that way. Symbiotic. Uman says you can also find the links to the websites after the show by visiting the rsyndicate.com/news. The rsyndicate.com is Uman's website that has all things prepping, patriot, law, the country, food, you name it. But now he's got a news division, and you participating in the Trump administration by giving them the top 20 things, as well as who you think should serve in the administration. Who should Trump appoint and where? They're listening. They want your ideas. They want to know. Now, we're going to find out. I don't think my vote is going to matter all that much, but it's my vote, damn it. And I need to go there and tell them this is what I think. And I'll leave them tell them. No rhinos. Anyone who is a never Trumper, needs to swear absolute allegiance to the flag, to the country, to the Constitution. They need to acknowledge that the Declaration of Independence is law, literally, and that they will obey their oath or they will suffer criminal penalties. That's what I say. Anyways, like I said, I'm a little bit of a freedom and liberty kind of guy. I believe in protecting you guys more than I believe in protecting the government and continuity of government and authority of government. All the government is force, folks. It's a gun in your face. Obey our rules, pay our taxes, kiss our ass, do as we say. I don't dig that. A government ought to be able to say, look, this is the right thing to do, and here's why. What do you think? And I can go, yeah, that sounds right, makes sense. Or no, I don't think so. You can go fuck yourself. I'm free. I get to make the choice. Right? I'm free. That's what culture and tradition is about, folks. Did you know that culture and tradition are part of our law? Believe it or not. If that's the spirit of the law. When the Supreme Court looks, not only do they look at case law, the arguments, the facts put before them in any particular legal dispute, but also culture and tradition. Where did our country come from? Why was it founded? What was important? And why is that important? And does ruling on this affect those things that affects every single American in a negative fashion? That's right, folks. I would love to be John, Supreme Court Justice of the United States. Do I need to go to law school and get a Juris Doctorate and then suck up to the Bar Association and pass their stinking test? Or can I just know what the Constitution is and have common fucking sense? I would have law clerks, of course. Hey, do the research. Give me the decisions. Show me what some have said for or against in any of these situations. And I'll weigh that against the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, history, reasoning, critical thinking, common sense, our culture, our traditions, and the American belief system, which is tyranny has no place in our lives. And government, folks, like fire, is a fearful servant and a terrible master. That's a quote from George Washington. Woo! Let's do it. Let's continue. Jolene, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We got Bioxo77 with a $4.99 super chat donation. And he says, did you hear the crazy speech New York's Governor Kathy Hochul gave after the election, calling voters anti-American and making some bold statements about Trump? Yes, I did. I didn't hear the whole thing. I couldn't stand it. Kathy Hochul looks like the Wicked Witch out of, well, I almost said Alice in Wonderland. That would be the Queen of Hearts, but rather the Wizard of Oz, right? The only difference is Kathy Hochul. You misspelt that, Biox, so it's not Kathy Hochul. It's Kathy Hochul. But yeah, she's a bit comfy. Anyways, all she needs to do is paint her face green. And Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, she lost. Hey, Gretchen Whitmer, fuck yourself, bitch. She also looks like one of the witches. The same, only she's not painted green. Yeah, she lost. Trump won Michigan, folks. Bam. All the battleground states went to Trump. Bam. Even though they cheated. Bam. And they're still trying to cheat, and they need to be punished for it because that's criminal. But Kathy Hochul, she called people who voted anti-American. I thought being American was being American. I thought being anti-American means you want to destroy America. How do you destroy America? You destroy and nullify the Constitution by violating it constantly, screwing people over, stealing their rights, their property, their money, and brainwashing the shit out of them. Does that sound like the Democrat Party and what they want to do? I think so. I truly do. I think that's what the Democrats are all about, is being anti-American. Remember, when they say democracy, they mean bureaucracy. And when they say anti-American, they mean, well, if she says you're anti-American, she hates you because you are pro-American. By saying you're anti-American by voting for freedom and liberty, it's backwards. That's lying. That's gaslighting. That's crazy making. And guess what, folks? There are Americans out there who are committing suicide, who are committing acts of violence, murder, self-mutilation. There's the Democrats like Kathy Hochul and Gretchen Whitmer and Governor Newsom in California. They are causing mental illness to expand and proliferate because they keep lying to their constituents and telling them that we, people who understand the Constitution, our law, our country, our traditions, our history, our culture, telling them that we're wrong and that that's wrong, and that this new think, this communist new think, where they unburden us from that which burdened us in the past, right? They want to unburden them from our past, which is our Constitution, law, history, culture, traditions, etc. That's what they want to unburden us from. Well, sorry, I like the burden of being free. Oh, what a terrible burden. I'm responsible for myself. They want to undo that and make the government responsible for you, which means the government is now your daddy, your mommy, and everything else. So we've got a lot to keep going, folks. We've got a lot of work in front of us. Are you prepared to keep the fight going? Because yes, we need to keep fighting, because Kathy Hochul is not quitting. Hillary Clinton's not quitting. The Obamas are not quitting. They're pissed off, but they're not quitting. The deep state is not going to quit. The bureaucrats don't want to quit. They're going to fight Trump all the way. And yes, they're even going to try to assassinate him if they can. Trump over the weekend, and this is funny in a way. It's absolutely funny. Trump has robotic dogs patrolling Mar-a-Lago. They don't have weapons and guns attached to them. They have surveillance equipment, sensitive surveillance equipment. And they are robotic, and they're out there. They're doing what humans do and are still doing. But they're robot dogs, probably with infrared, extreme listening devices to listen to see if somebody is trying to sneak onto the president-elect's property. Guess what? They've already caught someone. It's a Chinese national who has now been arrested for the second time, because for the second time, he has tried sneaking into Mar-a-Lago. Do you think he's there because he wants to make a business deal or proposition with Trump? Or do you think he's there to do something evil and nefarious? I'm voting for the latter. If he has a really good idea, all he's got to do is send an email to Trump. And if it's good, I'm sure Trump would talk to him. If he was like an Elon Musk or a Joe Rogan, I'm sure Trump would want to hear what he has to say. Wow. Woo! Folks, if you're just checking in, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that internet address and share it with everyone else. If you want to participate down here in the comments, you've got to be a subscriber. So hit the subscribe button. 5 minutes later, you'll get to start commenting. And if you want your comments on the screen, hit the super chat button, get it up, and we'll get you on. Jolene, who is next? Who's next? And it's for his super sticker, John Miskinnis says that we need U.S. officials with true American spirit and that put America first. I'm going to agree with you. I would rather have somebody with only 5 years experience in government, but they love America. They have the real American spirit within them, and that they'll put America first, and they'll take that 5 years of government experience and do their job better than any anti-American Democrat rhino suck up piece of shit would do if they've got 20, 30, or 40. Because with 20 or 30, 40 years experience in the government, they know how to play the system and screw everyone over. And I don't believe they have the American spirit and a patriotic, America first mentality. You know, people like Kash Patel, Vivek Ramaswamy. He is going to get in there and he is going to cause all kinds of trouble. He's got fuck you money, just like Elon Musk has fuck you money. Elon Musk, I'm glad he's got zero experience in government. He's had zero, or a lot of experience rather, fighting with government, battling government, dealing with bureaucracy, red tape, rules, administration, regulations, bullshit. because of his Tesla company and his SpaceX company and his solar power stuff and his everything that he does. He's got to run. So he sees what red tape does. It holds up and stops progress. Elon Musk is calling for nuclear energy. Trump is calling for nuclear. I believe J.D. Vance is calling for nuclear power. We need it. We need to power this country safely, base load, secure from third world, second world, and other non-American nations who are holding that power over us. Folks, I don't have a problem with Putin and Russia beyond the fact that they are holding and have the ability to cripple the United States of America, because they are the only country that is really enriching, fabricating, and creating nuclear power. The little pellets, the itty-bitty little pellets. We need to make those here in our own country. It's called national security, energy security. Those are what? Nuclear, gold, copper, silver, zinc, chromium, vanadium, nickel, iron. All of these metals are critical. They're strategic, whether they're monetary or industrial or technological. It's strategic, and it needs to be done in this country so we don't have problems with other countries fucking with us, just like oil, right? They need to get the Keystone Pipeline done again and set that deal up with the Canadians. But the XL pipeline needs to be open. They need to do more drilling and get us to a point where we are completely independent. And we can do business then with other nations and say, hey, look, we got our own, but what do you want to make? What's your offer, right? It's the art of the deal. It's commerce. It's how to do business. But you never put yourself in a position as a nation, especially when you're a superpower, where other countries can control what you do. Relying on other countries for technology? Oh, okay, well, if that's the technology and is being made in India or Australia or Japan or China, we need to get them to build a factory here in America and bring that technology over to here. It's just, there's so much to do to put America first. I agree with you, Mr. Miskinis, 100%. Anything that's critical, mineral, metal, food is critical. And folks, I wish RFK Jr. 100% going after big pharma, big food, big chemical, and knock this shit off. Spraying our food, feeding our food garbage, it needs to stop. Feeding us chemicals as if it's food. Woo, we got troubles, folks. I would love to feel 100 times better. That'd be great because the food is better quality. I try and eat well, folks. I do. And they're trying to make it hard for us to do so. They want us to eat bugs and fake meat. That's not good. That's not healthy. We need real food here. Anyways, thank you, Mr. Miskinis. Jolene, who's up next? What do we have to say? And it's Boomer. He's back again with another $20 super chat donation. And he says, some of my picks. Vivek Ramaswamy for Secretary of State. Woo! That would be something there. General Flynn for Secretary of Defense. I'll tell you what. General Flynn had something to say today. Boy, did he have something to say. There is a lot. Let me give you General Flynn. He sent a letter. He wrote a letter to the radical Democrat leftist idiots. Here's the quote. The American people are tired of your shit. Yes, we are. I agree with General Flynn. Yes, we are. Put in your comments down below. What are you sick and tired of? And General Flynn, Secretary of Defense, you bet. I think he would also be great for the CIA, the FBI. We need more people like General Flynn. We need to fire every single general, colonel, admiral, get rid of all that brass in the Pentagon that colluded with General Milli Vanilli, that participated in bringing in more leftist woke ideal bullshit. The American people are tired of that shit. The radical left. Good. You know, in fact, getting General Flynn in there as Secretary of Defense and cleaning out the Pentagon, he knows who they are. And getting look, I would rather get rid of all these generals. We don't need that many generals. We don't need 500 fucking generals. We don't need that many, and admirals. We don't need them. And bring up officers, colonels, lieutenant colonels, and even majors. Bring them up in rank based on their patriotism as well as their strength, right? You're supposed to have leadership, real leadership in our officer corps. And if need be, go to our senior staff NCOs and field promote them to officer status. Take them up to general if need be. There are some hardcore senior staff NCOs that would be fine, in my opinion, over these fucking Ivy League bullshit plastic banana Pentagon officers who don't know shit and are nothing but a bunch of fucking virtue signaling meatheads fucking up our military. They're a bunch of bureaucratic assholes that need to be removed. There's plenty of room in this country for very vertical advancement by our officers and enlisted men who love this country. Now, Boomer continues and says Tucker, as in Tucker Carlson, for press secretary. See, there's another guy that would do great. I said Peter Doocy earlier, and of course, Alex Jones, just to piss off the left. But Tucker Carlson, there's got to be room in the administration for him. I don't know if press secretary, I'm not saying he's too good for it. I don't know if he wouldn't be better suited somewhere else. You know, there's got to be room for him. There's got to be lots of room, folks. Steve Bannon, he needs to be in there. I want Dr. Atlas back. I do. I want him back. I want all of the Trump hardcore, and I'm going to use the word loyal. Right? Like Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro stood up to Fauci in the White House and yelled at him and told him to shut up. And that's enough of his crap. God bless Peter Navarro. We have commerce, finance. How about the Securities and Exchange Commission? Who's going to step in there and clean up, right? A bunch of these left-wing investment cocksuckers literally tried destroying Trump's Truth Social media network. I don't talk about Truth Social very much, but he tried it. He went in and he shorted the ever-loving shit out of it in an effort to try and destroy that and destroy $500 million of wealth of Trump's. And he failed. Naked shorting needs to be done. Naked shorting needs to be made criminal. We need a Security and Exchange Commission that actually protects not the billionaires, not the banks, but the people. All of you people out there that have 401ks, you're private investors, you got a little nest egg, you want it to grow, and it keeps getting fucking screwed over because of the naked shorts. There's a lot that needs to be fixed, folks. There's a lot. I like what you have to say there, Boomer. I like Tucker for press secretary. I do. I'm just wondering if there isn't a better place for him. There's a lot of cabinet positions. There's a lot of bureaucracies. There's a lot. Federal Election Commission. We need some hardcore, hard chargers in there. I don't know why Lara Trump wouldn't be good for that. The Federal Election Commission to go in and lead. Who's going to be the Attorney General? Who? Right? What is it, Elena Haba? Right? The attorney, she's pretty hardcore. Would she be a good Attorney General, or would that be something more, along the lines of someone, coming out of more of a prosecutorial position. How about bringing up someone like Ken Paxton to the Attorney General's office? He has demonstrated he's willing to fight tooth and nail. They've already talked about bringing up the Florida. Oh, good golly! Right, the head of health. I can't believe this position is completely lost, right? But right, the what do they call that guy? Oh man, what do they call the guy who's in charge of health? Right now we got that fruitcake man who's got mental health and he's not very healthy in charge of health, right? We need more of that. We can get them from the states. We can get them out of the government and the state level and bring them up to the federal level. It's not that difficult. Anyways, let us continue. Boomer, thank you very, very, very much. Wow. We've got a lot, folks. We got a lot to talk about. We've got lots of time left. Jolene, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? It is Sunday Night Live. And if you have something to say, you hit that button right up there. And here you go. And it's Marilyn Myers with a $19.99 super chat donation. Thank you, Marilyn, for the great emails you send me, asking questions, bringing things to my attention. Appreciate it much. It's hard to get to everything, as you know. Sometimes you send me something and I don't get back to you for a few days. I try and read them all and find the time. Anyways, Marilyn says, if a president-elect dies before inauguration, the 20th Amendment, Section 3, I'm being corrected, thank you, says the vice presidential-elect becomes president on Inauguration Day. So here we have actual 20th Amendment, Section 3, confirms what I said. J.D. Vance would become president. If both get killed, Congress picks a temporary one until they can qualify another president. That would be one hell of a situation. Now remember, the Joe Biden administration has in place a policy in the event of something that they're calling a mass casualty event. What is a mass casualty event, and why did they come up with that thought for this election and election process? Well, because a bad thing could happen. A very bad thing could happen to big parts of the country or very specific parts of the country. They also have the new Department of Defense directive that says the United States military, that would be the Marine Corps and Army and possibly even Navy and the Air Force, maybe if they've got a couple rifles there, they can be used by the federal government, the state government, and even local government. The military can be brought in and can use up to and including deadly force on the American people. This is a disgusting idea. There's no reason for using the military against Americans, even if those Americans are Antifa or BLM. I don't want our military who are trained to kill. If I was back in the Marine Corps and someone handed me an M16 and put me in an infantry unit or an expeditionary unit or force recon, I love those guys. There's some bad motherfuckers in the military. Your job is to go in a direction, wherever it is, and anything that shows up in front of you gets to die. That's what the military is supposed to do. Not determine if someone is a big enough threat and which level of force to use. That's not up to the military. That's why you have local police, sheriffs, deputies, state police, etc. Folks, the National Guard at Kent State killed Americans because they got a little confused about the level of force they needed to use. We don't need another thing like that. I don't like the idea of the military being used against American civilians. Our military is supposed to protect our nation against foreign enemies. And I suppose they need to protect the Constitution against domestic enemies as well. Yes, we did swear that. We're going to see how this plays out. Marilyn, thank you very much for clearing up the part about the president-elect being dead, assassinated, killed, or indisposed of in some capacity. And thank you for the great support. $19.99, all of those donations, they go into our, well, preparation kitty, which keeps the lights on, keeps the bunker safe, keeps me well stocked with ammunition, as well as tuna fish and Spam. All right, who's next? Jolene, we got lots to talk about and 15 minutes or more left. Coach Kyle's back with a $5 super chat donation. He says, when the banking and economy implodes, do you think the American people will get the banker elites or law enforcement? People will lose everything. Do you think the American people will get to the bankers and elites or law enforcement? I don't know. Who do you blame? Do you blame the federal government, the Security and Exchange Commission for fucking things up? Do we blame the Treasury for screwing up the monetary system? Do we blame Wall Street for the financing, the banking failures? Do we blame, who gets the blame? Is it the U.S. Treasury? This can happen. There is a problem with our banking system, our finance system, and our monetary systems. When you talk about funding the federal government through the bond system, everything they're doing to the bond system right now is failing. They raise the rates, they lower the rates with the expectation of making things better, and they're making it worse. The banks don't get bailed out unless the Federal Reserve and the Treasury and the president all decide. Otherwise, we have a bail-in system. We have the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, is supposed to guarantee your and my funds in the bank. Well over $100,000, right? Well, I wish I had $100,000 of cash in the bank. I'd do something else with it. But they're supposed to. But you know what? If the banking system starts to collapse, if people want their money and they want to get it out, there's not enough money to get out, folks. There's not enough liquidity in the banking system because banks take your deposits not as a deposit and put your money in the bank on a shelf. They take your money and invest it in Wall Street and make themselves more money, they think. And if they fail and Wall Street and the stock market collapses, banks go under, they don't have the liquidity. You go to get your money back and you're like, hey, okay, I'll get my FDIC. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation will pay me. No, they don't have enough money, folks. If they have $10 billion, I'd be surprised. If the FDIC had $10 billion in liquidity of their own, I'd be surprised. But guess what? There's trillions of dollars in the stock market, trillions of dollars that is in the stock market because it goes through the banks. Bank of America, Chase, Citi, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley. There used to be this thing called Lehman Brothers. Many banks have failed and just disappeared. Where do you think your money goes when they make those decisions? And if we have a big problem, Coach Kyle, yes, right? People can lose everything or half, or you can get a 20 or 30% haircut, as they like to call it. It's not a fucking haircut. It's an amputation of wealth. But they give it cute little names like haircut. It's not a haircut. It truly isn't. Oh. The American people will throw a fit, but where do you go? Where can you go? Right? Where do you go when the bank fails? You go knock on the door. Hey, give me my money. There's no one there. The bank is insolvent. The bank is washed up. How do you take your bank account and the amount of money you had, and who do you run to say, give me my money back? Look, they're still counting votes in Arizona. Well, in Florida, Governor DeSantis, after a massive hurricane wipes out millions of power for people, he gets the power turned back on. They can't even count votes in Arizona and in other states. Yeah, it depends on what bank. It depends on what state. It depends on how bad, Coach Kyle. If something implodes, explodes, falls apart, crumbles, disintegrates, or just fucking disappears. That's why you need to be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan for what goes wrong in your area. If the banking system collapses, the power goes out. There's a food shortage, a gas shortage. There's an attack on American soil. That's what being prepared is about. Knowing our country, our laws, our rules, that's important. We've got some trouble coming up. That's why I say SHTF. Mad Max is for potential, but for the next 10 years, we're going to be fighting our asses off, clawing our way out of the hole that stupid big government has dug. At the local level, they're stupid. At the state level, they're retarded. At the federal level, they're criminal retards. And they have bankrupted us financially, monetarily, and they're trying to do it morally bankrupting us with this woke shit. Well, it's failing. It's failing bad. That's why Boeing, folks, and other corporations are saying, you know what? Diversity, equity, inclusion, you're done. How about if we just hire people and promote them based on merit, their ability to do their job well, not how many fucking piercings in their face or tattoos or how fruitcake-ish they can be. All right, Coach Kyle, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Jolene, I know I'm long. Who's next? These topics are great. Dan the Man Erickson's back with another $5 super chat. And he says, I wonder how many votes in New York were influenced by Peanut and Fred. That's right. Remember Peanut the squirrel and Fred the raccoon? Oh, yeah. Now, New York did go. It went to camel toes. It's also a state that does not require voter ID. In fact, the only states Kamala Harris won in the election were states that did not have voter ID requirements. And that's another thing Trump says we're going to do. We need to have voting integrity. And I think Scott Pressler, who helped roll Pennsylvania over to the side of the Republicans, I think that man needs to be part of President Trump's election integrity team. Bring that man on. Election integrity, not just for Republicans, but for all of America. Now, if Republicans were cheating to win elections, do you think the Democrats would stand by? No. If it's politically expedient, they'll support it. Just like you can find on X, on YouTube, Hillary Clinton saying we need to get these illegal immigrants out of this country. Oh, yeah. Back when she was younger, it suited the Democrats to say that because it won them vote favor. The voters wanted that. Now they've convinced their voters that we need illegals here, that it's racist to kick them out. So it's politically expedient for them to want illegals here because they benefit by it with voters who don't require ID. You bet. Peanut and Fred, I bet that, folks, Dan, more than just New York. I wish it had been enough to bring New York over the edge, but the cheating. Trump filled Madison Square Garden, right, and other parts of New York with his rallies. I know he did better than they're showing, folks. They stole millions of votes and lost ballots. But, you know, as it is, we need to move forward from where we're at, right? Vincero, victory, and we move on and we march on. And we keep fighting for truth and justice. Jolene, who's up next? It is Sunday Night Live. And Heidi with a $2 super chat. She says, we need Fort Bragg back. Yes, we do. Every fort, every base needs its old name back. Enough of this woke shit. We need the statues and the monuments to the great Americans in the North, the South, the East, the West, from time immemorial, all the way back, all the ones they tore down, including Christopher Columbus. They need to be replaced. And anyone who defaces these monuments needs to face a serious criminal prosecution. Because even if the statue is Ulysses S. Grant or Robert E. Lee, they're a part of our heritage, our history, our traditions, our cultures, and the way our country came from its very humble beginnings. A bunch of farmers and veterans getting together and kicking the shit out of English tyrants and the redcoats and sending them packing. And we grew up out of everything to where we're at now. Yes, Heidi, we need Fort Bragg back as well as the rest of our great American history. And these pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinians, and Trump has this as well. Hey, if you said death to America, or you burned an American flag, or you hate America, you will be sent back to wherever you came from. Your student visas rejected. Your scholarships, who cares? You're out of the country. Done. Done. This is America, and if you will not stand behind it, support it, and love it, then get the fuck out if you're a foreigner. Crazy stuff. Put America first. Make America great again by getting rid of all these anti-American scumbags. That's how I see it. I would love a position in the federal government getting rid of these scumbags. I think that the president should, through some form or fashion, deputize or use veterans who want to be involved in cleaning the shit out of this country. Use us. Have local sheriffs deputize us to get rid of these criminal elements, right? Like all of these apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado, that are being run as money laundering, money-making operations for the drug and violent crime and prostitution rings out of Venezuela. Guess what? How hard would it be to go in there and have American veterans say, you know what, not in my country anymore, because they are now deputized, empowered to protect America and remove the foreign criminal elements. Of course, they would need to be under the, shall we say, guidance and authority of someone in government that says, yeah, they're over there, go get the bad guys. But why not? We want to use veterans to protect children in schools. I think that's a great idea, because who wants to kill children in schools? Left-wing lunatics on SSRIs and other drugs, as well as gender-bending drugs that fuck their heads up. You know, enough of the games, right? I'm about getting rid of the games and being honest about it. Enough of the games. America first. There are patriots everywhere, not just veterans, patriots everywhere that would love to get these scumbags out of the country. I can't believe they invite them in, gave them a pass and said, they're not American citizens. You can hire them and pay them less on wages. Companies were just loving that shit, bringing illegals in, replacing Americans. How un-American is that? Fucking your fellow Americans in order to make a little extra dough. That is dishonest, and it is fucking unpatriotic as fuck. All right, let's do this. Let's continue. Jolene, who's up next? We got Dan the Man Erickson back again with another $5 super chat. And he says, Paul Pelosi and his incredible luck at the stock market needs to be looked at. Yeah, Paul and Nancy, you bet. And other, both, shall we say, elected officials, their staffers, bureaucrats have made millions and millions and millions of dollars getting in on investments before the government says, oh, we like company X or company Z. And so company X or Z go up because they have big government contracts. Or we're going to penalize that company over there. So they go short that company. The government penalizes them. The value drops on that stock, and they make money on the way down. I think shorting should be illegal. You can't, look, I can't sell a house that I don't own. I can't sell a car I don't own. So why should I be able to sell a stock I don't own? And then come back after I sell enough of it to drop the price and then buy it back cheaper. Right? What if I went to a car lot and said, tell you what, all these cars that you're selling for $50,000, I just sold them for $20,000 and watch all the prices drop, right? And then buy them back cheap. No, it's bullshit. They shouldn't be able to do it in the stock market. Yes, you are correct, Dan. I'd like to see all this naked shorting and illegal bullshit and insider trading. And yeah, it needs to be done. It needs to be done. Thank you, Dan. Jolene, who's up next? We've got bump Cow Toolbox 2, gifted 5 Prepared Mind memberships. I don't know how that works. I'm glad you did it. Jolene, you handle that. Whoever is out there that needs to be a member isn't a member on the Prepared Mind. I don't know how that works. I've heard about it. I don't know how it works. That's really cool. It's the first time I've seen this. That's awesome. Thank you, Cowell Toolbox 2. Okay, Jolene, who's up next? Holy crap, we're at the 2-hour mark, folks. Bioxo with a $1.99 super chat donation. He says, turning Davos into a bunch of glass would be nice. Davos, Switzerland. I tell you what. It is populated by people who hate freedom and liberty and hate us. They are the modern day aristocrats, the too good effete, I'm royal and you're not type people that want us to eat bugs, that want us to be just polluted with chemicals. So we have to buy their drugs. Remember, the uber rich own the pharmaceutical companies. They own the food companies, and they want us to eat bugs and be drugged out of our fucking minds. They want us to have no property. So they own everything and we own nothing, and we'll be happy. That's the plight of a slave, folks. To have no control over their life, no way to improve themselves, to be forced and reduced to eat the worst crap. That's what Marie Antoinette said. That's right. The wife of the Emperor Napoleon, Marie Antoinette, said, let them eat cake. Cake is not spongy, sweet chocolate with frosting. Cake is the crusty smoke buildup inside of a oven. You know, we clean our ovens now. Back in the old days, they just kept them hot and kept baking stuff. It's burnt, splashed, splattered food that bakes to the inside of an oven that is carbonated crap. It's just carbon. That's cake. Let them eat the crust stuck to the inside of their stoves. Let them eat crumbs out of their toaster ovens, right? Let them lick the plate that spins in circles in their microwaves. Let them eat bugs. That's Davos, folks. That's the World Economic Forum. I can understand why Bioxo says, you know, turn them into a bunch of glass. I'd rather see them go to prison and be held accountable, have their bank accounts frozen for being enemies of the people, for participating in the poisoning of the world, instead of the liberation of the world from hunger and disease and tyranny. Bioxo, thank you. Jolene, who's up next? We've got here at the end of the show, and we'll keep going as long as there's super chats. And it's Inigo Montoya back with another $4.99 super chat. And he says, I'll give it 6 months for Antifa, that's Antifa, and BLM, which is BLM, Black Lives Matter. I'll give it 6 months to find an unfortunate felon and start peacefully looting us again. Oh, yeah. They would love another St. George Floyd. They just want an excuse that they can get behind. Now, was it Breonna Taylor? She was killed in a police raid, and she was trying to protect her criminal boyfriend and got killed, I guess. I know it's been a while since we've discussed that, right? That was very upsetting to people. There's lots of people that are killed all the time by the police. It's very upsetting. Sometimes it's warranted, sometimes not so much. And folks, I do not like injustice. I was a whistleblower in the military. I don't like injustice. When I see it, I will blow that fucking whistle wide open. Right? There's criminals out here in the private sector, and there's criminal government in the private sector interacting with us, that is. But still, you don't see me burning buildings when I hear about an injustice. Right? It needs to be handled properly, and having good, solid, legitimate, law-abiding government in places is key. But Antifa, and BLM, they are the brown shirts. They're the violent thugs of the bureaucracy, the deep state, and the Democrat Party. And they are going to be utilized at some point, if not before President Trump is in office or after. And folks, they want to get violent. They do. And Uman and I have talked privately, and they can be stopped. The police in Seattle have been thwarting Antifa since the election. They can do it. They just need to be arrested, charged with a crime, tried for the crime, found guilty, and sent to prison. Those are the legitimate steps of a justice system that is just and handles and deals with criminals. But the current justice system under the deep state and local district attorney scumbags, and many of them are in position because of George Soros and other non-government organizations that are funding their campaigns. People like fat ass Fannie Willis at the local level and Letitia James at the state level and others in the federal level who are very unjust. And what have they done? Indigo, what have they done? They just let the criminals go. They come in the front door and right out the back door. No bond needed. Just come back to court. We promise. We'll treat you right. Right? They just drop the charges. Fuck it. Or they plea the charges down to misdemeanor, time served. No, that was murder. No, it's misdemeanor. Misdemeanor manslaughter, time served. He spent a week in jail. He's done. That is not justice. Antifa folks, BLM, they're still out there ready to go. Don't worry. So are the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas types. And that's not a conspiracy theory. They're out there waiting to have their numbers called. They're out there like, hey, coach, put me in. Yeah, we'll see what happens, folks. We'll see what happens. All right, who's up next? Jolene, who wants to step in and have some fun? It's You Can't Make This Shit Up with the 1776 super chat donation. And he says, my family canceled Thanksgiving over the election. What the fuck? Democrats everywhere are promoting the destruction of the nuclear family over political boundaries. That's right. The political partisanship of the left, they're promoting the idea of breaking up families, breaking up the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. In fact, a Democrat went on the news, on mainstream media, and did something very awful. Did something very awful. Joy Reid of, I think it's MSNBC, she said Democrats need to avoid Trump during the holidays, Trump supporting relatives. If you have one or many Republicans, then you need to break the family up, never go back, right? Joy Reid brought on a communist psychologist. I'm going to call this person a communist, collegiate, shit-stained psychologist, telling people to ostracize their family. You know what? Fine, fuck off, Democrats, for good. All the way, go all the way down that road, turn left, and just fuck all the way off. But that's what they're proposing, is to destroy families. It's awful. And you can't make this shit up. You know, if the Democrats won, if Camel Toes Harris won the presidency through cheating, the Democrats would say, okay, everyone come to dinner, come to Thanksgiving. I'm going to shit all over you. You can have a bug macaroni salad and some soybean fake hamburger meal. Right, there's your meal. Enjoy. Yeah, they'd love it. They would love to gloat. But see, they can't gloat. They don't get to brag. All they can do is bitch and complain. All they can do is bitch and complain about Trump winning. All that shit. America's had enough. As General Flynn said, America has had enough of your shit. And Joy Reid is just losing her fucking mind on TV. She's losing her mind. But America is super happy, folks. Super happy. But get this. Get this. The left wants to cancel Christmas, cancel Thanksgiving, cancel birthdays, cancel New Year, cancel everything. We hate the world, right? Well, look, even the kids are all right. Even high schoolers know how big Trump's win is for their futures. They're going to start their lives coming out of school in the next couple of years with Trump as president, and it's their future. In Beverly Hills, folks, the high school principal said, no shouting, no jumping, no celebrating Trump's win. Well, guess what? The students said, fuck you. And they held a massive celebration for the Trump win. The kids know freedom and liberty is it. They don't have to hide anymore. They don't have to deal with these fucking yo-yos who want a sandbox in the bathroom. I'm not saying to the kids and others, go out and be bullies and beat people up. None of that. But let's knock the bullshit off. Let's get crazy. Put the crazy back in the fucking closet. Right? If you think you're a cat or a dog, not in school, right? You're a human, or go get your rabies shots, put on your fucking collar, pay for your dog license, and you're not allowed to go to school because you're a dog or a cat or a fucking giraffe. They're ridiculous. But yeah, that's how crazy they are. They want to cancel Thanksgiving. And I'm sorry you can't make this shit up. I'm sorry that your family canceled Thanksgiving. I have Democrats in my family. Really? I have Republicans in my family. And it's going to be interesting. Mental illness is very, very dangerous. All right. Jolene, who's up next? As we continue on and plod on in this Sunday Night Live. And we got Jim Hansen checking in with a $1.99 super chat. No question from Jim. I thank you for the great support. You've got a few minutes to get it on there. As long as I've got questions coming up, thoughts, what is happening? Where do we go from here? It's not over is key. It's not over. We have a long way to go, a lot of fighting to do. And folks, they're going to continue to push the Jim Jones juice. Do not get it. Talk to a real doctor about it. Jolene, who's up next? We've got Old Rocker 181 with a $10 super chat donation. And he says, on this birthday of the USMC, the United States Marine Corps, remember what Trump did for the military with choice of medical care and employees' accountability to be fired. Oh, it's going to be big, folks. The insurance companies, the pharmaceutical companies, businesses are being sued for their participation in denying people their rights. And I believe that should extend to the military, the Marine Corps, the Army, the Navy. People are winning big lawsuits for being fired, for being intimidated, for being forced to take the Jim Jones juice and coming up injured from it. It's not a small issue. It's not a small item. I'm thinking about whether or not I want to share this. I'll save it for later, folks. Remember that Eric Clapton, slow hand, a great musician who's been around since the 60s, hell, maybe even the 50s, but I think the 60s for sure. He's a member of Cream. Anyways, Eric Clapton took the Jim Jones juice, suffered a neurological injury, and his hands were messed up. He couldn't play anymore. I think he's since gotten better. But Eric Clapton, after that, was not afraid to criticize it. Criticize the Jim Jones juice and how dangerous it was. So, I now have a piece of Eric Clapton memorabilia. And it was nearly destroyed in the hurricane that just smashed into the Manatee, Hillsborough, Pinellas County, Tampa Bay area in Florida. And I was able to salvage this piece of Clapton memorabilia, and it now is going to occupy a special place in the Prepared Mind bunker. But remember, folks, what these people did to our military, enlisted officers. They beat people up. They drugged them against their will. They tried kicking them out. They discharged them. They removed their commissions. They even put them in the brig for refusing this shit out in the public. Doctors and nurses said they were giving it to people whether they liked it or not. They have arrested and thrown in jail a doctor who took the vials of this vile shit, the Jim Jones juice, and threw it away, destroyed it, and instead gave people a perfectly safe placebo injection instead. He's now in jail. There's so many people Trump needs to pardon. Nice old ladies who pray at abortion clinics, even young ladies, people that went into January 6th because they were invited inside by the police and were arrested and are in jail. The leader of the Proud Boys arrested, the Oath Keepers arrested, thrown in prison for no crime. for criminal trespassing, tried convincing him. I think it was Enrico tried convincing him to testify that Trump told him to stage an insurrection. I mean, such craziness. The military loves Trump, folks. At VMI, Virginia Military Institute, when Trump won the election, the VMI exploded in cheering. I think that's great. The communists in the military need to be chased out. Annapolis, VMI. West Point. These military institutions and educational institutions, they need to become patriotic again. Old Rocker, I sure hope so, man. I remember what Trump has done for the military. He brought pride and honor back to it. Not gay pride, but pride in serving the country and being treated like you matter. All right. Thank you, Old Rocker, very much. Jolene, I know we're running out of time. We're running out of questions. But still, you can't make this shit up. 556 super chat donation. He asks, you can't make this shit up. Did all the rioters vote for Trump? No, they did not. They voted against it. They just haven't been turned loose yet. That's the deal. They haven't been turned loose yet. Don't worry, they can be turned loose. They'll look for an opportunity and an excuse and permission. It'll be created for them. And then they will do that, and they will try and punish you and me and all of us. All right, Jolene, who's next? And you can't make this shit up. 556 super chat donation, one of my favorite numbers, as well as oh man, I tell you, all of the numbers, all the good numbers, the 45, the 40, the 357. Anyways, thank you so much for your great support. All the donations go to keeping this channel alive, folks, alive. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming here and celebrating the Prepared Mother for his super sticker. Michael Rondo says California is now starting to get some ground with the Republicans. Listen, California is a no ID vote state. In fact, I think someone pulled out their ID and got arrested for it. I don't know if that was a joke or not. But California, somewhere close to, by my count, 8 to 10 counties swapped, over to Trump, over to Republicans. Now, because illegals could vote without an ID, because everyone could vote without an ID, you could probably go there and vote without being registered to vote. But Trump got more votes in California than any Republican has in the last 40 years, since Reagan swept in 1984. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Trump has done something amazing because America wants to be free. Now, the only problem with California is all the cheating. Problem with California is the political system is set up by the Democrats, run by the Democrats. They count the votes. They have the system set up to help them, right? It is a completely inbred and nepotistic system. And I'd like to see it absolutely dismantled and destroyed. There needs to be, yes, each state is supposed to make its own rules, but there needs to be some uniformity, a requirement that only Americans can vote in elections for America. I mean, that's just one of the most fundamental, basic, simple things to understand. But like the rest of the Constitution, they didn't think back then that would be a fucking problem. Once again, the founding fathers did a whole lot to protect us, but they didn't think, hey, what if they decide they're going to let illegals vote? What kind of government would bring in illegals and then have them vote against the very people and country that invited them in? They didn't think that the government could become that evil. Well, hello, here they are. And because they have the First and Second Amendment in there, government can't silence us and can't overrun us with bullets, so they want to overrun us with ballots. But think about it. Imagine if the Constitution did not have the Second Amendment. saying the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. If that didn't say it right in here, the government would say, there's no protection in the Constitution against the government banning guns and taking guns. So if there's no protection against it, then the government must have the authority, right? Right? Well, fuck you, government. And I'm glad they did the Second Amendment. There needs to be a constitutional amendment. All states, all districts, all forts, everything should be required that you present an ID demonstrating you're an American citizen, a citizen of your state, a citizen of this country before you are allowed to vote. Anyways, thank you, Michael Rondo. Jolene, who's up next? Do we have more? We got Dan the Man Erickson checking in again with another $5 super chat donation. Dan wins the most super chats and the most dollars in one shot. He says, last Tuesday, Uman bought 3 Kraken. John, did John have that third one? I can't remember. I had like 9 fucking Krakens, 94 proof coffee infused Krakens. I don't know. Dan, Uman, last Tuesday, Uman bought 3. Bought 3? Uman's shaking his head. He doesn't know. I'll tell you what, I'll have another one just because I am so pleased with the amount of people that showed up for this broadcast. We nearly tapped 500 live. After 2 hours and 21 minutes, we still have 350 people live. So I tell you what, Dan, just to play it straight and play it honest, I got another shot of 15 years single malt scotch. Semper Fi to you, Mr. Dan, and all, and happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps. Birthday first, we're incorporated where? Of all places, this place called Ton Tavern. Ton Tavern is where the Marines were started. Woo! Semper Fi. So when it comes to me having a drink and being a Marine and being an American, I'm all for it, folks. And yes, alcohol is an antidepressant. It's a muscle relaxant. It's a painkiller. It's nature's original drug. Medicine, pharmaceutical, if you will. All natural. Anyways, thank you, Dan. And let us continue. Jolene, who's up next? We got Crunch a Bunch Candy. And he says this. Hamass is the official mascot of RMZ 2025 RMZ, folks. I tell you, the RMZ. When I was there, there was a lot of strange noises at night. And it could have been pork, a pig, right? Pig. That could have been. If I had caught it, folks, it'd have gone the same way as that rooster. If I had ever caught that rooster, it'd go right on the pit. Now, I wasn't too far from the ocean at the RMZ either. What I say. Stuffed toys. You guys play fucking games on me all the time. I do still have also the beaver. I have the Trumpinator, which you guys, you play fun games with me, and I just love it. I really do. Thank you. Yankee Watchdog says you should have ate the damn rooster. I'm telling you, Yankee, if I had caught that little thing, I would have. Oh, to have peace at night at the RMZ would have been great. It would have been great. All right, who's up? We got Uman says pigs and roosters lying together. No, living together. Living, not lying. We don't want that. I don't want a porker with a pecker on its face. All right, it'd fuck you up, literally. All right, Jolene, who's next? This could be, Uman says, first, they put all the LGBS flags on their houses. Now they're shaving their heads. Then they decided they should all wear blue bracelets to ID themselves. Oh, and then some genius suggested matching tattoos. Yes. Yeah, this is the crazy ass left, folks. Only piece missing is an app to get your personal membership number to add to your tattoo. Adolf Hitler would be proud that they're doing it to themselves without being forced. They're marking themselves. They're showing us who they are. They want to be part of an elite club of just awful brown shirt, Gestapo, shock troop, Bolshevik, cultural Marxist revolutionaries is what they are. They represent the civilian terrorist threat in this country. I'm not afraid of veterans. I'm not afraid of veterans. I'm not afraid of good people. I'm afraid of these anti-American evil scumbags. Anyways, Uman, thank you very much. I want to thank all of you for showing up. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and I am taking it off. I will probably do a not so zero dark 30, but what I want to do right now is everybody who has done super chat donations, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, you have kept us online through the hard times of social media where they have punished us, silenced us, blacked us out, shadow banned us, outed us, doxed us, sent people to harass us at our jobs, in our families, in our relationships, in our institutions of charity even. That's right. I've had these left-wing lunatics try and get at me through the charitable institutions I'm involved with. They are anti-American to the max. And the best thing we can do is wake people up, tell them to come and learn about our country, remind them we already have rules for freedom and liberty. We don't need big government. We need government to obey the rules we have. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Get prepared at thepreparedmind.club. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. Get prepared. I say hard times are coming, and these crazies, they're going to come out of the woodwork. But seriously, sincerely, thank you for celebrating the Marine Corps birthday with me tonight. Thank you for celebrating the preservation of our great republic and defeating Kamala Harris. But the fight isn't over. Call your senators and tell them we need real leadership in the Senate, not rhinos. And get and stay active politically. Don't fall asleep. It ain't over. We got a big battle ahead of us. God bless America. Godspeed to all you. And Semper Fi. Always faithful. Hoorah.